Hi guys, it is Aoife and I'm here to do my 4th and 5th December weekly wrap up. I did not post a wrap up last week because I was literally just too lazy to film one last week. I was just having a lazy day and it just got too late and I just ended up not filming one at all. I also have hiccups at the moment, so excuse me if I hiccup in the middle of this recording. But yeah, so I'll let you know what I've read over these past 2 weeks over Christmas. So I started out the week of Christmas by reading 2 different short stories. The first short story was A Basket Brigade Christmas. This is by a few different authors, I will link it below, and it is based around a town that helped out wounded soldiers on the train during the American Civil War. And that's really basically, like, there's 3 different stories set within this town about this basket brigade, and yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't particularly spectacular. It was just like 3 love stories set within the town, set within this time period, and yeah, that, like, there was literally nothing I can really say about it except like it was okay. I wouldn't recommend it. It was a bit boring and it wasn't particularly Christmassy either. I didn't really love any of the stories. In particular, the second one was probably my favourite, but again, it was okay, it wasn't great. 3 stars. The second one was Mary Mary by Ashley Farley, and this was a story about a photojournalist who found the body of a dead homeless woman one day when she is out photographing for a project, and she takes the woman's baby who is still alive and she brings it home, and then she ends up in this predicament where out there like that. Like, it's not something that should be used in that kind of way to get what you want, and yeah, it just really annoyed me. So overall I gave it 2.5 stars and I just didn't really enjoy it that much. So during the few days, Christmas Day, the day before and the day after, I read All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I don't know what it is about this book, but I always knew that I wanted to read it around Christmas time or in the month of December. There's just something about it that reminds me, it must be the blue cover, it just reminds me of winter. And I knew I wanted to curl up in a chair by a fire and read this book. And this book has a lot of great reviews, and it should have a lot of great reviews because it's excellent. This book basically tells the story of a blind girl in Paris called Marie Laura, and then a German boy called Werner in the middle of kind of Nazi Germany, and it's during World War II, and it's telling the story of these 2 different people from 2 different countries, and it's slowly telling how these 2 people are connected. And it was just a really, really, really beautiful book. I loved the style of writing in this book, the prose in this book. It was just so stylish and so beautiful, and the use of description in this book is absolutely phenomenal, particularly in Marie Laura's chapters, because she is blind. So in her chapters, Doerr was using literally every other sense to describe her surroundings without except sight, because obviously she didn't know what she was seeing. But at the same time, even though she wasn't telling us what she was seeing, by the use of description, I was able to see where she was and to see what she would have been seeing if, she could see. And I just thought that was really, really amazing and really beautiful. So yeah, I really loved it. It has a definite tragic kind of tone, this book. I kind of always felt there was going to be, there's just this tragicness about it. But it also made it a really, really heart-wrenching read, a really beautiful read. I thought it just added a lot to it. And where you knew these kids were living in World War II, there probably wasn't going to be a happy ending, all these bad things were happening, and you just didn't know what was going to happen, who was going to survive, that kind of thing, and I really, really enjoyed that. So obviously I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I really can't wait to check out more of Anthony Doerr's writing, because I just really loved his style of writing in this book, so I really, really want to pick up something else by his. So if anyone else has read anything else by him, please let me know and suggest anything else for me to read. So after that I picked up No One Wants to Be Miss Havisham by Brigid Coady. This is a book I got from NetGalley, and I thought it was going to be Christmassy because it is a retelling of The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, but it isn't actually Christmassy at all, and it could be read any time of the year, but I did have fun reading it over Christmas just because of the Christmas Carol connection. So this is basically about a girl called Edie Dickens who is a divorce lawyer, and she is visited by the ghost of her friend Jessica Marley, and she is told that she has to basically become a better person, and she is going to be visited by 3 ghosts of weddings over a course of 2 weeks, and she has to try and change her ways or she will be kind of doomed to kind of haunt or watch couples fall in love and kind of live like a eternal life of regret basically when she dies and becomes a ghost herself. So yes, basically Scrooge, but it's kind of like Charles Dickens meets chick lit, and it sounded really fun. It was a fun read, but there was just something about this book that just didn't gel with me, I think. I normally like these kind of books, but there was just something off about this book that for me, I just didn't click with it the way I thought I would. I did really love the kind of little twist on the characters. You know, there was obviously Edie Dickens, Jessica Marley, and then there was also a male character called Jack Twist, and I really loved that kind of, you know, that just those little bits, you know, kind of Easter eggs, Charles Dickens Easter eggs that were in there. I really enjoyed them. I wasn't particularly keen on this kind of tone I felt throughout the book that was, you know, if you don't believe in marriage and if you don't believe in kids, you're a Scrooge of love, basically. And I kind of felt that at times it was kind of being portrayed to Edie that because she didn't believe in all this kind of happily ever after stuff, she was a terrible person. And I just didn't really agree with that, you know. Yes, she wasn't a very particularly nice person, she could have been nicer to everyone else around her, but just because she doesn't believe in certain, you know, things that, you know, is kind of society's idea of what a woman should want in her life, that doesn't mean that she is a bad person or a wrong kind of woman or something like that. So that kind of annoyed me a little bit, but overall I did enjoy the book. It was kind of a fun read, and I would suggest if people like a little fun chick lit book now and again, I would suggest people pick it up, and I gave it a 3 stars. Another NetGalley book I picked up this week was Worlds of Ink and Shadow by Lena Coakley. This book, basically to describe this book is to say magic realism meets the world of the Bronte siblings or the Bronte sisters. We all know Emily Bronte and Charlotte Bronte from Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre, and this book basically follows them when they are quite younger, and it also follows their siblings Anne and Branwell, their brother Branwell. And what it is that Charlotte and Branwell Bronte are both able to basically create a kind of special doorway when they're writing their stories, and they're able to literally step into their stories and able to go into this world that they have created, and they're able to kind of control their characters from within this world. They're able to see their characters come to life, they're able to converse with their characters, you know, they're able to change different things about their surroundings. Really amazing. I really loved it. I love this idea of an author actually being able to have a conversation with their characters and become friends with their characters and see how their characters act towards other characters that they've made. And there was also kind of this theme that, you know, sometimes a character runs away from the story they're supposed to have been given. And I think if anyone does write, I have written before, I've written characters where I've meant for them to go one way and somehow they end up in another, a completely opposite way. And I really love the way this book played with that, you know, sometimes without an author even knowing, a character just goes off the rails and does something that it's not supposed to do. And I really love that. And yeah, I think there were some, from what I could see from some reviews on Goodreads, some people had some problems with it in terms of historical accuracy. But I think I didn't really know too much about the Bronte siblings before this book, and I think because I didn't know too much, this book worked well for me. Maybe if I had been, you know, an expert on the Bronte siblings, some of the stuff about their family life and how they lived and things like that might not have agreed with me, or, you know, I could have been said, oh, that's wrong, I don't like the way, you know, they changed this, or that was changed, or whatever. But because I didn't know too much, this book worked for me, and I really enjoyed it, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. So yesterday I managed to finish The Iron Ghost by Jen Williams. This is the second book in the Copper Promise series. This is basically a really great fantasy series that follows 3 different characters, Sebastian, Wydrin and Frith, on these kind of adventures that they end up in, all these predicaments that they end up in. And this book, it basically follows the three, and it kind of has to do with this really old evil magician, they call them mages, awakening from the dead basically, and they have to try and stop him. And it was really, really good. I really love this series. This is one of my new favourite fantasy series. There was really great world building. This book was set in a different part of the world than the first book was set in. The first book was very much villages and cities and kind of mountains with forests, where this one was set in a part of the world that was snow and ice and mountains. And there were characters in it and kind of species of people in it, I guess, that were really, really interesting to read about. There was some fantastic world building in this book. It really broadened out from the first book. And again, all the characters got even more. The characters in the first one had great depth, but in this one I think they even had more depth. And I really love the characters in this book. Particularly the female character, Wydrin. I think she's really great. She's really spunky. She's independent. She's a really great warrior. And yeah, I just love her. I think she would just be one of those characters that you'd want to be friends with, because she's really, really funny and she's really loyal as well. I really love her. I gave it 4 stars instead of 5 stars. While I really enjoyed it, I felt like just as I was getting to the middle part, it slowed down a little bit for me, and I feel like it kind of just dragged a tiny bit, so I took off a star because of that. But the third one in this book, I think it's The Silver Tide, is coming out at the end of this year or in the middle of this year, and I can't wait to read it. I'm really, really looking forward to reading it. And yeah, so if anyone is looking for a new fantasy series to start, I would really, really highly suggest this one, because it's absolutely fantastic. And the last book I finished this week was Love You to Death by Meg Cabot. This is the first book in Meg Cabot's The Mediator series, and she has written an extra book in this series that's going to be published in February called Remembrance, and it basically follows the characters when they're all a little bit older, I think in their 20s, a little bit similar to the way she did Royal Wedding for the Princess Diaries series. And I knew as soon as I heard about this book, I got so excited, and I was like, I have to read all of the series again, because I read this when I was younger, when I was 13, 14, 15. I read this kind of on and off from my library. I used to get the books when I could see them, and I really, really love them, but it's been quite a while since I've read them. I've kind of forgotten most of the story except for the very basics, which is, you know, a girl moves to California with her family, her mum is just remarried, she's a bunch of new stepbrothers, and she can talk to ghosts. Oh, and there's a hot ghost living in her bedroom. So that's basically all I can remember. I remembered very little about kind of her friends and all the different people she meets, and I really, really, really loved revisiting this book. It was just so much fun. One of the best things I remembered as I was reading it that I loved about this book was Suze's family dynamic. She has just kind of entered this new family life. She has 3 new stepbrothers, a new stepdad, and her family is just so lovely. The brothers are also they're all so mellow, I guess, with having a new sister. They all kind of fall into these roles. One of them is the brother that kind of argues with her. The oldest one kind of takes on this kind of almost protective role around her, and then the youngest one kind of fawns over her and follows her around and also tries to take care of her. And I just think it's really, really nice. And then she has a really good relationship with her stepdad as well, and I just thought the whole family was very healthy and really, really lovely to read about. I really, really enjoyed the scenes that had her family in it. It was just so much fun coming back and just reading it all and feeling the same feelings. And I really love Suze. She's just such a great character, and she's just so, like, she doesn't really take anybody's crap. She stands up for herself. She's independent. She's a little bit punkish. She's just a lot of fun to read. I took off half a star. I gave this 4.5 stars instead of 5 stars because the first ghost, apart from the ghost in her bedroom that she deals with, is a student that used to be in her school, and basically what happened was that the girl killed herself after her boyfriend broke up with her, and now the girl is haunting her boyfriend and trying to kill him so he can join her in the afterlife. And I just felt there was a little bit, particularly with Suze, she was a little bit unfeeling at times about this girl, about the fact that she had killed herself, and she was kind of a little bit callous at times, and, you know, she said things kind of, oh, you should have thought of that before you blew your head off, kind of thing. And I just wonder if a book that was written today would get away with the sort of that kind of thing. It just made me a little bit uncomfortable at times, and I feel like, you know, the way the way the story was written, there was very little done to kind of explore whether there was anything in this girl's life that would have caused her to feel that she had to take her own life. There was nothing else done in that sense. So even by the end of the book, you're still given this story that she was a shallow, stupid girl who just killed herself because she didn't want to live without this guy as her boyfriend. And I just feel like there should have been so much more to it, especially for younger people reading it. I don't really remember when I was younger reading it, having any strong feelings, but it's just now when I read it when I'm a bit older, I would just feel a little bit uncomfortable about it. So I did take away half a star because of that. But again, I think probably some of it would have been edited a little bit if it had been published today. If it was a brand new book being published today, it probably would have been written a little bit differently, as I think just society as a whole, I think our attitude towards mental health and suicide, things like that, and how we broadcast it to the public, I guess, in a little way, I think it's changed a little bit. So yeah, that was the only problem I really had with the book, but overall I really love going back to it. I'm thinking of doing a series review when I finish the whole series, because I want to try and do book reviews this year. It's one of kind of my, booktube goals, the resolutions of 2016 is to try and do more book reviews. I have done basically no book reviews at all, so I want to try and do a little bit more just to do book reviews. So yeah, so it was 4.5 stars. Can't wait to read the rest of the series. And now I'm going to choose my January TBR jar pick, and yeah, I can't wait to see what I pick this month. Letters to Zell by Camille Grapp. This one I think is something to do like a Rapunzel retelling. I think I have it on my Kindle, so this is really exciting actually. This is a book I remember when I bought it on Amazon, I was really excited about it, so now I'm really excited that I'll be getting to read it this month. So yeah, so that is all I've read for the past 2 weeks. I hope everyone had a really nice holidays, and please let me know what you've been reading below, what you think of the books I've read, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye bye.